You're listening to Two Mics and a Guest, a podcast of people's stories and the career pathway that led them to where they are. And now your hosts, Michael Holliday and Mike Young. Welcome, everybody, back to Two Mics and a Guest. We've had a tiny bit of a hiatus here lately since our last episode, but we're glad to be back. As always, I am Michael Holliday. Joined with me is Mr. Mike Young.
Good to be here again. Did you have fun prom and everything this weekend?
We had a busy weekend of THS activities. We had prom Saturday night, and then our high school football team had our banquet in the same location, same setup.
Got their rings this weekend. That was good.
We did. It was quite the ceremony. It looked like everyone had a good time, and it was a long weekend, but it was fun.
Well, our guest today got some rings this week, this month in the fall, I guess in March, with the championship. Andy Lyon is the coach at Motlow women's soccer team. Very successful, brand new program, really still, 5 years, still very, very new. Great success for that. And we're going to talk about some of that as well, but it's great to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
I've known Andy for a while. I don't know your exact title with Camp Forest. That's where I've known you from with our local select soccer club team.
Yeah, I've got a few titles, I think.
I think you do. Yeah. They're throwing everything at you.
Local idiot is one of them, I think.
No.
Yeah, but honestly, it changed chairman, I think, at one point,
right.
Which sounds really important, which is not me.
Did your paycheck dictate the chairman title?
Still stayed the same. But yeah, that's where, I was trying to think, actually.
You're still doing coaching, like the director of coaching or something like that?
Yeah, a director of player development.
Everything they can throw at you.
Person with the code to the shed. Yeah.
Well, we met there. My son was played, and my daughter played for Camp Forest as well early on when that was starting out. And man, we're just glad to have you.
Well, as I said, I don't get a lot of time to do stuff like this, so can't say I'll be great, but
you're going to be. It's going to be great.
I've got a face for radio. I've been told that. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yeah.
So I don't watch the YouTube feeds of this. I just don't look at it. Now we're in the spring season. We talked about that a little bit. I know y'all are getting going with that. We're going to get to that because I want to hear a lot about the Motlow program. A little bit of stats here. It started in 2017 and moved all the way to last year with a number 14 national ranking finished. 2021 Region 7 regular season champs, Region 7 tournament champs, Southeast District champs will put y'all to the national tournament. That's got to be an incredible feeling. I know I've heard you say you're uncomfortable. You don't take all the credit for this. You've got a great staff, and your girls obviously are. It's a great team. But
yeah, they win despite me. This obviously the teams I've had in the past have been brilliant and have led to this. But I think we knew early on during the season that it was going to be special. So we had one kind of setback where we were kind of in danger of not fulfilling the potential that was there, and so we had a little bit of a chat. Got in a little bit of trouble at a hotel because I said what I had to say and then walked off and said, "You lot need to come together." And they did. Give them all the credit in the world. They were brilliant. They didn't know when they were beaten. They just kept going. They wanted it more than anybody else, and that kind of shows. So, but no, it's a fantastic group, and honestly, a great group of kids, which makes all that bigger difference.
Right.
Some really good people.
When the coach comes to play that card, you don't know how it's going to play. Sometimes, and them responding to it kind of shows who they are, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think they knew. When you look around the room, and especially during the first practice, and you go, "Ooh, they're pretty good. They're pretty good." Then I think the excitement builds from there. So it was just a case of them going, right, this is it. If we do this, we've got to go all the way. It's not going to be easy. We're going to fall out at times, but we're going to have each other's back, and we're going to get there. And they did. In the district, when we went 1-0 down, and it would have been quite easy for them just to go, "Oh, that's it."
Right.
But honestly, it was like a minute and we equalised. And then to win on penalties, I didn't tell them how bad England are at penalties, how I was just over there going to pieces.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, it was phenomenal.
We exchanged a couple of texts about that, those dreaded PKs.
Honestly, my
I
parents,
hesitated sending it to you there that close in that game because I knew it was not going well.
Yeah. I'm used to it now. With England, I always tell myself every time, don't get too excited because they're going to disappoint you. But I mean, I think we were glad to get that far in terms of England. But I mean, during the game, my mum and my dad were texting me, and just as soon as it went to penalties, they went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Exactly. Come on, they haven't even taken one yet. Calm down. But it was.
Barely made one. I mean, it was kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to relive that. I don't know.
It's fine.
I had a friend that actually had the gall, though. The United States national team did qualify, and they're in the group with England.
Scrape through, yeah.
And he's like, I think I see a road out of this. And I'm like, have you not watched the men's national team in the last? I mean, no, we're not getting out of this. I don't trust that team for anything. But anyway.
Honestly, I try not to watch the men's national team. I'd rather watch the women's.
I absolutely. The men should give the women their check.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're correct. Yeah. Much better soccer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just, well, no comment.
Well, I mean, y'all are coming off the undefeated season with football, and you hit those moments in the middle of a season where you have to kind of figure out who you are, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's injury, whether it's, just team morale, whether it's whatever it might be, you just have to take those little hurdles a day at a time and work through it. But luckily for us, speaking on our behalf, when it came down to Friday nights, the boys knew what to do and they got it done. So that's what sometimes during the week we questioned, are they ready? Are they ready this week? I don't but they showed up.
Well, okay, you're here in the States, you've been here a while, but tell us where you grew up and how'd you get here? Because our general topic is, how'd you get from high school to where you're at? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Nottingham, in England, which obviously I always just say Robin Hood.
Right. That's our first thing we think of.
Yeah, so my team is Nottingham Forest. And at the year I was born, we were the European champions.
Right.
Fun fact, I actually stopped my mum going to the European Cup final because she was too pregnant with me.
Oh, has she forgiven you yet?
No, not at all. Brings it up every Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Like with a knife in her hand. Yeah, no. But my dad went, and my dad actually has pictures of the goal we scored. This is.
Oh, wow.
So she hasn't forgiven him either. But no, but the year after we won the World Cup, that's a dream. Right. Won the European Cup again. Right. So Forest were in my blood pretty early on. I didn't have a choice who I supported.
Yeah.
And so I went to my first game, I think when I was 4, with my grandpa, who was an Aston Villa fan. And he would just shout, "Come on, Villa," at every game, whether they were playing or not. He didn't care. But that was my kind of route into football, was through my mum. Because my dad, he's going to deny this, but he is a closet Man United fan.
Oh, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no.
So
that's like a Yankees fan.
Yeah,
it's just too easy to cheer for.
Yeah, just awful people. I didn't, not really. But no, he's a Forest fan now, he claims. But no, my mum still goes to every single game.
Oh, wow.
With her sister and her niece. So I've always had like a female connection to the sport. But I mean, I used to go with my mum until I was too old, and she didn't like the language that I was using at the games. So we would just go into a different stand.
Yes,
because there's honestly very, very different. That's one of the big difference about going to watch soccer here compared to at home, is that if you're going with like family and stuff, you go to one stand, whereas depending on who I was with, we would go to different stands.
That's kind of an innovation we should have in the States too, I think.
It's amazing. If you're winning, it's brilliant. If you're not winning, gets a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started in Nottingham. I mean, I went through all the Forest like academies.
Talk about that a little bit. It's a lot different in obviously youth programs in the States versus what's happening all over Europe, I guess, in most places.
Yeah, very different. I mean, so I played with a lot of players that were so talented, and that were in obviously either the same year as me, different year as me, and every single year at our school had at least one team. So now you're competing with 50, 60 kids just within your school year to play for your school. Because everybody wanted to play, we'd get up, we'd organise to meet before school to have a kick around. The first break, we'd have a kick around. It was always who's bringing the ball to school,
right?
Which would usually be me, just because I don't know why. I just agreed to that, and my mum was going, "Oh, your bag's filthy." I'm like, no, I don't know why, but it was, there's massive competition, and honestly, in England at that time, especially, if you didn't show professional capabilities when you're 13, 14,
wow,
done.
Wow.
And so for me, I was a little chubby little kid who maybe had potential. And
you brought the ball.
Yeah, and I brought the ball, so I had to play, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got the ball.
You can't just pack up and go home, because then you just kill everyone's fun, right?
You don't want to be that kid that says, it's my ball, I'm going home. But
exactly.
No, but we had some, we would have full-on 11v11 games at lunchtime against different years and stuff like that. So it was always kind of there. But like I said, if you're not within professional academies when you're 14, 15, it's,
Wow.
There's so many that are looking at, that's what they want to do. They know what they want to do. And especially now, as it gets more professional, I mean, Forest have just been given a tier 1 kind of category, which is like the top youth program. So, I mean, it's this, you go to school there, you do everything there, and it's all geared towards being a professional. So, I didn't really realize my potential until I was maybe 17, 18. And by that time, it's too late.
Right. Right.
So I finished at university. Well, I went to university first, obviously. Struggled my way through there because I just wanted to play football.
Right.
I wanted to play soccer. So
Leeds University, right?
Leeds, yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. My uncle is a Leeds fan. So he would come down and take me to Leeds games as well. Leeds is they're a different breed as well. And my uncle, he can drink. And so
Is it anything like the movie Green Street Hooligans?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Because that's my only real window into what it could be like.
Yeah.
And if you know that movie, it's I don't know how accurate it is, but
honestly,
those fan bases can get pretty
absolutely
territorial.
I've been in situations like that away, because I used to go and watch Forest all over the country, and away and at home. The worst one was probably at home. We played a Welsh team. I won't say which one it is, but they're renowned for being a little bit feisty. And usually they keep the away fans back and they'll usher the home ones out first. But for some reason, the police did it differently. And I was with a couple of my mates going out of our usual stand. Nothing was different. And then we walked past about 3 people with blood just streaming down their faces, and we were just going, this doesn't look right. And then we got to the door of the stadium, and this policeman goes, "You got your running shoes on?" And I went, "No, why?" And he goes, "Because you got to run."
Oh boy!
And so they were lined up on either side of the street, just throwing beer bottles at us.
Oh man!
And the police were going, "Sorry, good, just run." Thank you, thanks, officer. So yeah, it can get a little bit feisty.
Protecting and serving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
on the positive side, the chants that you hear, the smoke bombs, the smoke grenades, it seems like a fun atmosphere when you're in there and you're with your people and you're not.
Yeah, it is absolutely. There's no. It is like spine tingling at times, and I think that's the difference. I go to some of the Nashville soccer club games, and I've never been to a game where you have to have somebody that tells you what to sing.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
right.
No, I don't want to do that one. So I just, it feels a little
It's
bit
funny.
at the moment.
I saw the
It's too
US
scripted.
National.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a few years ago, a good many years ago, but U.S. national team and Canada was playing, and then they had two South American teams. I don't remember which teams were playing. They played the first game, and then the Canada and United States played the second. And a bunch of us went. Where all the kids were playing soccer. Took my kids, my son, and everybody. And it was interesting watching the two South American teams. Obviously knew football, and they were cheering the whole time.
Yeah.
They would cheer during the build-up. You would hear the crowd, even when if they missed the shot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great shot. It was a good goal. All of it. They're cheering and exciting. For the United States game, it was quiet. It was quiet.
Yeah.
You see them go down the field. They get a little bit loud, and then it was if they missed the shot. Completely different idea of the sport, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not one necessarily bad or good. It's just the way United States folks are used to sport.
Yeah.
It was good to watch that together.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, just to get the kind of different. Yeah, I mean, because not going to say it's not life or death in this country, but for a lot of
I was going to say,
it really is.
I wrote down that football there is as big as football here, but maybe bigger as far as the cultural. Our sports are spread out. We've got lots of different things to choose from.
Yeah,
it's not that they don't have that in Britain. There's a lot of different things, but man, soccer is more than religion, right?
Well, I feel like it's so much more regional. Like, I would assume most of your fan base is loyal to that closest team in that area.
Yeah.
Whereas you talk to a lot of like American football fans, and you could live in Tennessee but be a fan of the LA Rams. Like you can be like, it's not, you just kind of pick which team you like.
It may be more similar to the college football passion,
I would say so.
but at a pro level, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Because like you said, it is. I mean, some of us are given no choice who we support.
Right.
Grow up, you're a kid and you're right. Sit down. I know you can't talk, but
my kids are always welcome at my house unless they become an Alabama fan. Then they can't come.
Yeah.
Your grandparents and parents tell you, okay, so this is who you cheer for.
Yeah. I just actually signed for Motlow a Derby fan, and so Forest and Derby are 20 minutes away, separated by one road, and there's a massive. That's our biggest rival. If you ask Derby, Forest are their biggest rivals. Her parents are Forest fans. So when we had a Zoom meeting and stuff, I'm just talking to her parents. They're both there, sat in there in their Forest shirts, and I just, this is amazing. And then so she sends me grief about when Forest lose, and I don't know how to respond because Derby are on the precipice of just disappearing because of financial irregularities. And there's a part of me, because obviously big rivals, I'm going, okay, get rid of them. But at the same time, I'm going, I don't want them to just disappear. I want them to be that rivalry, so that because those games are unbelievable. You have people that plan to show up at Forest Derby games with inflatable sheep, and what are they gonna do after this? So you get that camaraderie. And my mum used to work close to Derby. And so whenever, if there's a Forest Derby game and it's all week, it's for the, for the month build up, it's just, there's nothing, malicious about it, but it's that friendly banter that you only find with football.
Rivalry week it's a year-round thing. It's not rivalry week.
No. Well, and they talk about the viewership of just a normal mid-season Man City, United game gets way more television viewership than our Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's not a game that's like determines who gets the cup. It's just a regular game. Yeah. But those rivalry games, I can only imagine is, all right, everyone stop what you're doing. Yeah. In England, this is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
We're sheltered. I remember, I think it was Chelsea was coming over for one of their Major League Soccer tours, and they were showing, this is the salary for the New York Yankees.
Oh, yeah, the breakdown.
And this is the salary for Chelsea, which was more than the Yankees, and we can't comprehend that over here. Yeah. And so we're learning. But we're still.
But some of them it is obscene. My dad was a semi-pro and kind of gave his body to the sport, broke both his legs, and this was before all the money came into football and stuff. So he's it's very bitter about it.
I don't blame him.
He just kind of turns his back on watching it and paying to watch it and that kind of stuff. But yeah, some of the money that is on the table that you hear these contracts is just obscene.
But a little bit to that, I went whenever, was it not too long ago, but when Tottenham and Man City came to Nashville to the football stadium here, I remember going, and I had seen high school soccer, obviously. I had seen a little bit of college, but to see the athleticism that those guys had out there and how much they're running and how how the engines that they have is insane. Yeah. And obviously the stadium atmosphere is not what Man City and Tottenham are used to, but it was a little quiet, a little more Americanized. But, man, just those guys out there were insane.
Yeah, I mean, they're phenomenal athletes nowadays, especially. It's, everything's examined to a T, just what they put into themselves, what, their workouts.
They have those monitors that are strapped to their chest underneath them so they can have all that data. That's crazy. Yeah,
we looked at buying that for Motlow and then saw how much it cost.
So again, going back to budget.
So we were like, right, just tell me how much you run. I'll write it down.
Yes, exactly. Now, okay, so youth programs coming over there. How'd you get to the States?
I think it was on a plane. No, I mean, I think there's a company called MLS who kind of, they don't target people, but they're always putting ads out for people that don't know what to do with themselves and don't want a career or don't want a job. And I'd already sat in an office for 2 years. Hated it. And I would go in, and this is the worst thing about England is the winters. You go in, it's dark when you drive into work, you sit in an office, it's dark when you get out of work. And I found that a little bit soul destroying because I'd just come back from, I was going traveling for 6-7 months. So I was backpacking. And after I finished traveling, I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to sit there and just be destroyed in a suit and tie in a job that I hated. So I kind of searched this company, and they were telling me everything I wanted to hear. So we went up for I guess it would be an interview type thing where you had to coach and you had to just talk about yourself, which I don't find easy. But
it's always awkward.
Yeah, I hate that when people say, "Tell me about yourself." I'm just an idiot. Let's move on. But I think there was about 150 of us that they send over each year to clubs. And I was in New Jersey to start off with, so completely different than Tennessee.
What?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Apart from, I'd never had allergies before. And I remember waking up on the second day and not being able to open my eyes. And I was just going, what is this? America's trying to kill me.
Pollen everywhere.
Yeah, it was brutal. But that was my first taste of coaching. And I remember my first session, I just went to pieces and somebody actually had to step in and go, "I got it." And I was just going, "Oh my God, what am I doing? Can I do this?" And after that session, I kind of sat down and had a quick chat with myself and said, "Right, get yourself together, Lyon." And then after that, loved it. I started just watching other people, what they did, picked up what I liked, what I didn't like. And then they would move us around. So I think I did 3 or 4 months in New Jersey. And what they would do as well, which was a little bit weird, was we were kind of like the development team. So we would coach, and then when it was the Metro Stars at the time, now they're New York Red Bulls, they have a dome outside the stadium, and we would play like exhibition stuff, and then they would almost parade us around like we were players. And so we would have to sign autographs, and then they're going, You don't want mine, mate. I'm nobody. I'll just put somebody else's name on it. So, but Tim Howard was there at the time, and so there was a massive buzz around the club about Tim Howard because he was obviously one of the big people that was kind of coming out of American soccer. So it was exciting to be around, obviously. But then they would kind of move us around week to week during the summer. So we would do camps, and I remember coming down here. And it was just a bit odd that we would be in a camp in Alabama and have to drive 7 hours to do a to go and talk to people to then drive back down 8 hours to do a different camp, whereas there was somebody 30 minutes away that could have done that. So there was a few things that I didn't quite like, but yeah, we would move around week to week, and I got to Manchester. We did a camp in Manchester, and I stayed with Lee and Judy Brooks, and they were the first family that just looked at me and went, "You look terrible. Do you want to just go and sleep?" And I was like, "Oh yes, please," because usually you get there and it was kind of like, "Oh, we have an English person staying with us. Let's invite everybody around and go, this is my English person." You go, hello.
Got to hear the accent.
Yeah. And
just say something. You're like, I'm not a puppet.
So after a while, it was a bit much, and they were the first family, literally, that just said, "Look, just there's a dark room back there, sleep." And then we did a camp, and I think it was probably the year older than Austin. Right. It was like Josh and all that lot, Adam. Right. The Hoovers. Right. And then they kind of organised, they asked for me to come back down to Tullahoma for 12 weeks. And then it's the old cliche, you meet someone and you get trapped. Yeah. And then that's how that kind of came about. And then sadly that ended in 2014, and it was a little bit of a stage in my life where I was like, oh, okay, what am I doing? Am I staying? And I'd been mentioning to Motlow for a few years that this was something that they needed to do, but never had any success. So I kind of threw myself into my work for 2 years, and then randomly got a phone call from Scott Chastain. And he just said, "Hey, I've been told that you're somebody we need to talk to." I was like, God, what did I do now? But yeah, he kind of sat me down, and they were explaining all this, and I just said, yeah, I'd love to help. I didn't think that they would give me the job. I was like, okay, yeah, this is what you need. This is what you need. Right. And then, just casually, they just said, right, when do you want to start? I went, oh, okay. September ? And then it just kind of went from there. So
is your next question, do I even have a pitch? Like, is there anywhere physically for me to be at?
Sadly, I didn't ask that, and I should have asked that because we still haven't got one. But it's in the works. But yeah, I kind of said, look, I think we can get, there's fields that we can use. And so I was just desperate to get it started. Quite realistic, I think, in where we would have to start. But I knew there would be players. There was players already at Motlow. One of my first signings was already there. And I knew that there would be plenty of people.
And working with the clubs, you had seen clubs all over Tennessee and played against them really all over the place. So that's a good base as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's always, just in terms of, so Katie's team, I can't remember how many were even on it, because it seemed like there was about 8 people at practice. But by the end of it, I think 11 to 12 had offers to play in college. And so there was always that.
That was a strong team.
Yeah, it was definitely. But at that stage, I didn't know how to market them. It's not like it is now, where everybody's got agents and there's so many websites and all that kind of stuff. But no, it was just, it showed me that there's a lot of desire for people to play in college, and a lot of opportunities that weren't out there for people. So that's mainly what I wanted to do. And we still go Tennessee first in our recruitment. Right. Local and build out. But it was really weird how it came about. Not a glamorous story. It was just one of those things where I didn't really have to think about it. I just said, yeah, I want to do that.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, right?
Yeah. I should have thought about it. Maybe just for a second, played a little bit more hard to get.
No, man, I'm glad. But to see that, you think about college sports in certain ways. You're the only person I've ever known to build a program from scratch. You're him that I've known. Somebody has started these programs all over the place, and so there's not really a book for it, right?
No. A lot of it was reaching out to people, just asking questions, and some people replied and some people didn't. And then, they gave me a guidebook on how to do it. And there's still stuff where we're figuring it out. Right. And then we go, okay, well, we've done it this way, but does that really work? So I think every time we're always trying to figure out what we're doing, if we're doing it right, what we think we can improve, which I think you have to if you want to keep improving. I mean, I'm always, that element of self-doubt is in my head constantly.
Right.
So sometimes you have to fight that, and sometimes you have to listen to it. So, and then obviously I've got people telling me, because I always want them to be able to tell me. Sometimes I always say, like, one of my heroes is Brian Clough, and who was a manager at Forest, and he would say, they would ask him how he would talk to his players, and he said, you know, we talked about it a little bit, and then we decided that I was right. And so sometimes we do that, and then sometimes I decide that they're right, and you know, I have to go, okay, right, I see your point. So it's definitely still a building. I don't think we'll ever stop building to get to where we want. And now, obviously, making the national tournament, we have to kind of build on that as well, because that comes with a little bit of different pressure.
Well, once you've seen it, you kind of want to go back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to see the level, because there was a different level, an obvious different level.
Right.
And I know the players saw that as well, because, I mean, our first game was against a team that hasn't lost in 2 years. And so they had some incredible players. And I think in the 89th minute, I ended up just clapping them, because this kid almost scored an overhead kick, and I was just going, that's just really good. Well done.
Right.
Stop doing it against us, but well done.
Right.
Yeah. So it was, it is a different level, and it's difficult to consistently find that level in practice. And that's one of the biggest things we've talked about this year is pushing ourselves in the right way. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. But it's a different challenge. It's mind over matter, knowing that you're your opponent as well, and setting the tone for yourself. And that easy for complacency to creep in, but you know, we kind of always have to remind ourselves to fight that.
I know. I read the story that the Telemann News did on you guys just a couple of weeks ago, I guess last week or something. I like your philosophy of, and I've worked on college campuses, and kids are it's that transition stage. It's an exciting time for them, and in those, you know, at Motlow, a couple of years, 4 to 5 years. I took 6, but whatever it takes. You go from kid to adult. There's this transition that's all happening there, and part of your philosophy is you want them to be the best soccer players that they can be, but it's a well-rounded kind of development as well, right?
Yeah.
I appreciated your story the other day. Had a meme about average players get excited for the game. You may be able to quote it directly. I thought it was great. Do you remember what it said exactly? It was some average players get excited for the game.
Bad players don't get excited about anything, which is kind of a general statement. But we talked about this to the girls the other day. It's you're not going to love every part of it, but you have to appreciate the process, because that gets you to the top. And I know they haven't loved everything about it, and sometimes we don't either. Sometimes it's, you know, it's for the coaching wise, you're going, okay, I know I have to be slightly unhappy at this point, because I mean, my coaching style usually is to make them feel at ease, to laugh and joke with them. I don't ever want to stop that, but at the same time, I've got to let them know in the right way when they're not performing. Same as with me, same as with my assistants, we talk to each other like that, where we just have to be like, hey, look, we need to get better at this as well. And so, it's
probably helped. You've coached Katie, so she's seen both sides of this thing. Now you got to work together.
Yeah, I always joke that with Katie that I didn't actually like her. I didn't think she was very good. I just liked Brad. He was a good team manager, so I just kept her around because her dad was a team manager. But no, she was, I mean, she's seen it as well, so she truly appreciates, and she's done it at the highest level.
Right.
So it's always good for the girls to kind of appreciate that and know what she put into it. And that's what she brought in as well, is, you know, we talked about what she liked that they did at her program, what she didn't like. And I always want that feedback, because you know, it's valuable, and it's not going to always be, this is the way we do it, this is the way we do it. So Katie she brings in a lot. There's some stuff that we do that I would never have thought about. and that I take the credit for when she does it well. No, it's no. She does bring a lot to the program. So does Dylan as well. Dylan's
haven't met Dylan, but I saw that you.
Yeah, brings a lot. Is a goalkeeper coach. Works very well with the goalkeepers, but worked at a different program as well. So we always like to pick everybody's brain to go, right, well, what have you done? What worked? What didn't work? But yeah, they're just a good group, really. And it's good to have assistants that kind of know the game, especially, but also kind of live it and breathe it a little bit. But, the girls can talk to them as much as they want to talk to them and to me. And sometimes they don't want to talk to me, which is, how it's going to be. And then sometimes they'll be like, okay.
You kind of got to be worried as head coach if they want to just talk to you all the time. Sometimes you got to be the heavy though. Right?
Yeah, sometimes you do, and but then I'd rather talk to them and have an honest conversation to where I'm never going to be shouty.
Right.
I always play that disappointed dad. It's so much worse.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
That's true.
The silent treatment on the sideline is way worse than a coach lighting in his own.
Yeah, but there's like we tell them all the time, we're not going to shout all the time. We'll probably shout more in practice because we want to get stuff through to you, but we don't.
Once you're on the field, it's kind of too late.
Yeah, you just make minor adjustments, make substitutions. That's about it. That's about all you can do. But no, it's we have to have honest conversations with them, and then I'm going to let them tell me what they think, and then I'm going to let them, I'm going to say, right, well, this is what the program needs, because the program's before everybody, including myself, because it's going to be here a long time after, hopefully, after all of us. So, we always have to look at what's good for the program. So in everything that they do.
Right.
But to be fair to them, they're phenomenal representatives of the college and the classroom. Everywhere they go, they're good kids, which is lucky.
Well, you've recruited well. I see I follow you guys and see the posts of the new signings. There's a sort of this idea in a student's imagination. Man, I want to play college sports, and sometimes the reality is not the same as the dream, right? But that doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. Obviously, it's worthwhile. It's hard and all of these kind of things. Can you speak to that? Because we've got some high school kids that have that in their mind. They're doing the recruiting trip, their signings. We're seeing this stuff on all different sports.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? That transition from high school to college sports for these students.
Yeah, we see, like you said, we've seen a lot that think they're ready. And it is a job. It's kind of like a full-time job. There's going to be times when you're not seeing the results that you think you're warranted. There's going to be times when it's deeply frustrating, but there's also going to be these times when it's going to be worth every single sacrifice you've ever made. So for our girls, we train every day. The spring season is a little bit different because it's kind of a lighter season, so we just train 5 days a week unless we have games. But now going from our main season, August, as soon as August the 1st hits, it's 2-a-days, and then you jump in straight into games about 10th, 11th, and then honestly it's pretty much every day until mid-November. And so you're going to miss stuff. There's going to be birthdays you're not going to be able to make. There's going to be family events you're not going to be able to make. There's going to be stuff that you really want to go to, but you can't because you've made this commitment. And then obviously, your work comes first. They're student athletes, so that should come first because after the game's finished, you need something to fall back on. My dad would hound me about that. You need a trade, son. Backfired on him. But no, education is vital, and we have study hall every Friday just to make sure they're up on the grades. We have progress reports. We have somebody whose sole job it is to be on top of the students to make sure that they're getting everything that needs to be done. Sometimes we're missing classes because we have away trips. We try not to, but inevitably it happens because you've got a certain amount of days to fit in these games. So, yeah, it's full time, and you're going to be exhausted. Everybody's exhausted. You're going to have to drag yourself out of bed at 6 o'clock to make your 8 a.m. We're not evil enough to do 6 a.m.s because we practice at 3 in the afternoon. So we set their schedule so that they're done by 1:32 so that they can then get to the practices. But yeah, it's a full-time job, and it's tough. It's hard work. It really is.
I think the other side of it, I would love this quote from Rudy Fisher when she said how you pushed him, guided her and all of this. But then she said, my love of the game has expanded since I've been there. And when you start thinking about the hard work that you just talked about, but being able to expand your love of the game, that's got to be a perfect quote for you. I mean, it's got to be something that feels good.
Yeah. Rudy is a really good example of somebody who didn't get immediate results. Somebody she's like one of those unsung heroes in a role within the team. She would genuinely play anywhere you put her, and she works hard every single day of the week. Cannot say enough good things about that kid. Tries so hard in the classroom. And just, I mean, she came in she's just been moved around, and I've done the same to her. But at the same time, I've said, listen, if you keep working hard, you're going to get results. And so we played her in a little bit different of a position that she was used to, and she gave everything. She still does, and that's why she's starting now. She's just got a scholarship to King University.
Oh wow, great!
A really good scholarship, and that's kind of what we talked about. Is your time might not be here; it might be getting ready for your 4-year. But I mean, she scored in the conference final. She was in the right place. She continues to be in the right place. Continues to ask questions every day, continues to work on it and understand the game, and that's kind of what you want is, those players that when they're not getting as much starting time as they used to, they'll come to you and say, how do I get more playing time? And that's what you want. And we try and teach them as well early on when we're sitting down pre-season. We'll say, right, this is the right way, because it's not just for us, it's for their next step. This is the right way to approach that. This is the right way to ask a coach this. What you don't do is go around complaining about your playing time or that. You ask to see your coach, and you can text me. You can say, hey, coach, can we meet tomorrow? I don't even make them call me coach. I mean, I don't.
Right.
It doesn't bother me that they call me Andy, or I'm sure they call me worse. Whatever. But just say, hey, can we meet tomorrow and discuss? And I'll say, yeah, absolutely. And then I'll tell them exactly what we think, and we'll sit down and we'll analyze a little bit of video, because we video all our games, we video a lot of practices, which really helps. And so every time we've done that, she's put things into place, and you can't fault that. That's exactly what you want.
That's a life skill way off the pitch too. Like that's all for everything, right?
Very coachable. Just a great kid, very respectful. She calls me sir, and I'm like, oh, really stop.
That's my dad.
But no, just a great kid, just a really great kid. Yeah.
Well, all right, this is exciting. Tell us a little bit about the games. I know spring season's shorter, but what we got coming up, because I'd love if folks listen to this, maybe check out a couple of games. I know up on the mountain, I think you've got one coming up.
Yeah, we actually play. We play Swanee and we play Tennessee Wesleyan, and what we've done is split it into kind of two halves. So we'll play 45 minutes against Swanee, and then we'll play 45 minutes against Tennessee Wesleyan. So in the springtime we use our games as recruiting. So there's a lot of, especially Tennessee colleges, that look at our players, and a lot of our players want to stay relatively local. So it's kind of win-win for us in the fact that we're playing good opposition, and that they can show them what they can do, and also the players can see what coaches are like during the games, because that's important.
Right.
How a coaches kind of how they change, if they're winning, if they're losing, that kind of stuff. You want to see all that, and then the coaches will want to see how the players react if they're a goal down, if they sulk when they are brought off. That's everything that a coach wants to see, and they want to make sure you're the right fit. So that's kind of what we use it for. But we play Swanee, I think the 18th, and then we finish our season against Union in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, short season
Road
this
trip.
spring. Yeah.
But kind of training and and showcase, right? So.
Yeah. And then, but usually we play in Belize. We usually play 2 games in Belize because we take them every spring. Obviously, we took them every spring pre-COVID. Right. Hopefully that will return next year. But yeah, that we play their international teams, stay at their international facility.
I think they probably need a chaperone.
Yeah,
they got to be a chaperone. I think I'll need a chaperone.
Honestly, it's awful. You get
we can take our podcasting equipment and just do the live commentating, Mike. That's what we can do.
We'll take it. We need some fans over there.
Last question. What would you tell your younger self? You're looking back on this experience, but
young Andy, what do we?
How young? Stop eating those cakes. I think the biggest thing that I've learned, which has kind of been, somebody told me once that you would lose a lot of friends. You would lose the people you thought were your friends. And people can get, and that's trying to tell my players, there's people that watch the people that are jealous of your success. Because that tells you what you mean to them. And I mean, that's the bad side of it. What I would tell myself is to push harder in the right way, because I didn't push myself enough as a player. And I try and explain that to the players now. But again, it's sometimes you got to go through that.
The perspective, right?
Hindsight,
What do you know? You're just an old man. You don't know. But
it's funny how much smarter I'm getting the older my kids get.
It's
funny how that works.
Yeah, it's horrible though, isn't it? Because you don't want to be like, and I try to say to them, like, look, don't make. We're telling you this because we made these mistakes. When you look for a little bit of wisdom, who do you ask? Do you ask the people that have gone through it, or do you ask loads of people until they tell you what you want to hear? And so I definitely wouldn't have told myself to stop playing soccer and to get a life, because that kind of gave me mine. But no, I
never should have left that cubicle in your suit, man. You never would have said, that's not what you're telling me.
Yeah, no, not what I'm telling you at all.
But you obviously came out of a massive comfort zone to even come to a whole different country too. So there's that leap of faith that you've got to take to pursue something that you really care about, which is a big deal. Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be uncomfortable. And for me, it was for a long, long time, and still is. Honestly, there's still things every day where I kind of feel a little bit sick and I'm just going, oh God, am I sure about this? But yeah, nothing good comes from your comfort zone, really. So yeah, we kind of talked to our players about that it might be big and it might be scary.
You learn more about yourself outside of that comfort zone.
Absolutely.
A lot of times,
yeah, and be comfortable with yourself. I went traveling twice by myself, never thought I could do that, but I wanted to see certain sharks and swim with them. So nobody else wanted to go, surprisingly.
What?
Yeah, I know. Shocker. But so I kind of really got to know myself and tried to be a little bit more comfortable with myself. And I think that's a big thing. Get comfortable in your own company as well. That does a lot. I don't know if that answered that question.
No, you did well.
Perfect.
I mean, it was some good stuff. So, man, we appreciate you coming out.
Pleasure.
Thanks
anytime.
for coming to talk with us.
Yeah, anytime.
I think that's it.
It is. Thank you so much for listening and watching, if that's what you're doing. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for coming.